Start now.
Hello, this video will be going over the steps in regards to manual entries of unit transfers, which is section 6 of the training manual. Once you log into the system, this will be your your landing page where you will actually input the either the project ID number to access the property or use any of the other options to access your property in the system. If you actually go here and input your project ID number and then choose search, it will take you to to the actual project screen. And once you're in the project screen, it will give you a list of all the properties that's listed in the system for your particular management company. What you would do is choose the property that you are actually going to input your unit transfer for. So you're going to choose the property first, and then what you're going to have to do next is go into the building screen. You will either go into your building screen by choosing proceed to buildings or choosing the number here on the number of buildings. I'm going to choose proceed to buildings. Once you're in the building screen, here, the first thing you want to do is to look at the reporting period for the building that you're actually putting your transfer information in. So if I'm going to go into unit 6, I'm sorry, building 6, and my transfer is actually for February, I'm sorry, for March of 2021. And it's showing here that my reporting period is actually February of 2021. I'm actually going to need to change the reporting period first. And to do that, I would choose again the building, change report period, and then change the reporting period. Here I will input the first day of the month and here the last day of the month. So I'm going to change it to March and then the last day of March. And here it's going to where you'll either select whether or not you want to update all the buildings to this particular one reporting period, or you only want to change the reporting period for building 6. If I want to change it only for this particular building, I will leave it unchecked. If I want to change it for all the buildings, I will actually check this box. But I'm going to leave it unchecked because I'm only changing the reporting period for building 6. And then choose save. And you see here it says that my project frequency is on a monthly basis and that the reporting period ending date should be 3/31/2021. So if I go back, I see my ending date was actually March the 29th, and I actually did that in error. So what I could do is go back and change this date to, and then choose save, and the information says successfully. So now I'm going to cancel, and you will see now building 6 is in the reporting period for March of 2021. So now I'm going to actually go to the units, these screens. I'm going to choose proceed to units. And once I'm in the unit screen, I'm actually going to choose the unit that I'm actually moving the tenant out of. So I'm actually going to move Gerald out of unit 602 and transfer him into unit 600. But before I go into those steps, um, you I'm going to let you know that there are actually two ways that you can do a transfer in the system. You can either transfer within the same building from unit to unit within the same building, or you can transfer from building to building on the same property. The only way that you are able to transfer from building to building is if the owner has chosen on the 8609 that each building are their own projects. And that means that then you are allowed to move from building to transfer a tenant from building to building. If the owner checked that the each building is one property, then you are not allowed to transfer from building to building. So to move transfer Gerald from 602 to 600, I'm going to actually click on 602 and then choose unit transfer. Once I go into unit transfer, you see here that it's going to give me his current unit and the current building number. And then it's saying here that I must choose the new unit and I must input the effective date. So anything that has a red asterisk in the system, no matter which screen you're on or what type of transaction you're using, an asterisk next to a field means that that particular field must be populated in the system. So for this particular transfer, you see that on this property, it's only giving me the screen when I choose unit transfer, it's only giving me the ability to choose a new unit. But on the manual, in the training manual on page 38, you will see a different screen that would give you the ability to choose a building and choose a unit. That basically means that you are allowed to move from building, transfer from building to building according to what the owner chose on their 8609. If you're not allowed to transfer from building to building, you will only receive a screen that looks like this, giving you only the ability to choose a new unit, not to choose a new building. So when I choose the drop down arrow, it's going to give me a list of all the vacant units in this particular building that the tenant can transfer to. So I'm going to actually choose unit 600, and the transfer effective date has to be within that reporting period time frame that I chose before. So I changed the reporting period to March of 2021. If I decide to just input a date for February, then it's going to tell me that the transfer date must be greater than the last cert date, which was 2/5/2021. And you see here, the last cert date was 2/5/2021. And so now my next transaction that I try to do has to be greater than my last certification date. So I'm going to go back and change that to, and then you will also change any dates, any information here regarding the tenant rent, mandatory charges, or anything that has been changed that you need to actually update in the system or on the screen. And then you would choose transfer. So you see that Gerald has now transferred to unit 600. When he transferred to unit 600, it didn't change anything here. But when you go into the hourglass and here, you'll see now that he has transfer information listed here, which basically saying he transferred from building 6 and the unit was 602 and his old move-in date was 2/5/2020. This information will stay in the system. It will never be deleted. All your transfer information will stay in the system as historical information. So I'm going to close out of here. And let's just say, for instance, that you actually transferred Gerald incorrectly into unit 600 and you want to delete that transfer, you can, as long as it has not been submitted to DCA or processed by DCA. So I'm going to click on the unit and delete tenant cert. So here is the actual transfer listed in the system. And it has a red X next to it, which means that it can be deleted. If it had a gray X next to it, it basically means that it couldn't be deleted because it has already been processed and submitted to DCA. So since there's a red X there, I can click on the red X and it's asking, are you sure you want to delete? And you will say, okay, and close. And you see now Gerald is back into his original unit. Oh, and just keep in mind that if you are able to move from building to building, you would see that screen that's listed on page 38. And what you would do is you would choose the building that you want to move the tenant to. And once you choose the building, it will give you a list of all the units in that particular building that are vacant that the tenant can move to. And so those are the steps for doing a unit transfer. Thank you.